Hey everyone, welcome to the Rugger. My name is Nate. I'm going to go over the Ireland-Italy game that happened on the weekend and thought it was a good game. You know, a lot of people thought that it was not great for Ireland, that they could have been a lot better, but I think it's a step in the right direction. So I'm going to just break it down a little bit. How was the game? How did it go? It was 20 points to 13. It was probably the closest Italy have come probably since the beginning of the Six Nations to win in Dublin. They did win there, but they won back in the 90s before they were officially part of the Six Nations, back when it's called the Five Nations. So it was definitely the closest they've had for a major, I wouldn't even call it upset at this point because they really are, they're meeting the expectations. They're creating a standard for themselves as bloody good rugby players. So it was great. I think Italy are probably my second team in this tournament anyway. So it was great just to see them up against each other. I think Italy sharpened Ireland in this game, even though the scoreline would make you think, okay, is this really secure kind of score? But I think there were really good phases that Ireland played, where they clicked, where they looked a bit of a reminder of what they used to do. I think definitely a huge improvement on the French game. So yeah, I'm gonna just take it through down the quarters every 20 kind of minutes and just kind of give a run through what happened. But straight away you could sense that this was different from the French game because there wasn't this obsession to keep kicking up into the air, and they were actually winning the aerial battle a lot. But a big bone of contention was the Sam Prendergast performance because he missed a couple of penalties and a couple of passes. I didn't think it was that bad, but the internet is awash with criticism over Sam Prendergast. But I was watching it. This is a really good game to watch a second time and just focus in and watch Sam throughout the game. He actually wasn't that bad, but it was probably his weakest international performance, just in comparison to, I suppose, the effect that he was having on the team and the effect that Jack Crowley had on the team when he came on. It was very stark. It just seemed to be a totally different gear that shifted. So I'll get on to that. But yeah, he missed these two conversions. The first one was very close to the tee, and he joined. There's a point where he joined a ruck, and he kind of jumped on top of it. But really, he probably should have just picked it up and passed it. But it kind of was like he was trying too hard. Kind of like the game has gotten into his head a little bit. It could be a lot of things, but it just seemed like he knew he wasn't at the races, but he was trying his best anyway. And while I'm not a huge Prendergast pusher on people, I still think he's got huge talent and huge potential for Ireland. I don't think he's going anywhere, but it just seemed like he was just a little bit lost out there, a little bit, I don't know, just wasn't there at the races. So yeah, it was unfortunate to see, but we had, I think that maybe it's just trying a bit too hard, but had Osborne score a try in the first quarter, so that kind of settled nerves. People thought, okay, this is Ireland back to what they do best, and you were expecting an avalanche of tries, and they never came. But the Osborne try was great. In the second quarter, Italy scores, so there's a huge game on, and the scrum starts creaking. Not that bad yet, but you can see it start to creak. And then there's this yellow card against Craig Casey, which was bizarre because he broke his nose. He pretty much was just standing up. Italy player ran into him. Boom, big broken nose. So he pays for that with the yellow card. Thought that could have been just a penalty, but maybe that's the Irish tinted glasses on. The third quarter, so that was so sorry. Then at halftime it was 10-5 to the Italians. So that was daunting because the team must have been in the locker room at halftime to be down 5 points from Italy. I can't remember the last time it's ever happened. So Italy would have had their tails up. Ireland would have been like, okay, damage control. What can we do to get back in this game? Because Ireland were scoring more tries in this game, but they just weren't getting those conversions. Italy were getting their penalties right, just kicking better. So it set up for a beautiful second half. But you could tell even in terms of the set piece, at least the line out is still good for Ireland. That's something to take away. Jack Honan scores a try, and then it starts to level up a bit more. Sam misses that second conversion, and you're like, okay. Then the scrum from Italy just becomes totally weaponized. And I think they actually have one of the best scrums in the world right now. If you see that game that they played against South Africa in the autumn, it was a thing of beauty. They're really nailing their scrum. And I think they've gotten into their heads that the scrum can win games or at least be a huge component to it. And this scrum just looks so mean. It's so well drilled. and it really put Ireland under the pump. It does show that scrums don't always win games, but it really helps. And the Italians knew that they had them with that scrum. So the big change here, well, not the change, but the big, I suppose, deciding factor was Ireland's defense was really encouraging, especially in that second half. They soaked a lot of tackles, a lot of attacks from Italy, and you could just see they were that again, that Ireland of old, that really stoic defense was just doing great. So there's a point where Italy think they've scored a try. This also caused controversy, and it's deemed a forward pass. Now, there's a lot of angles you can take on it, but really I was just paying attention to the literally painted white lines on the field, and that's what convinced me it was a forward pass. People were saying, no, look at the way the ball was thrown. I mean, are you saying then the wind pushed that ball all the way forward? It just looks really dubious. So the call was made that it was forward. And that was really kind of the deciding moment in the game, because they lose by 7 points. It could have been a tie if they get that try. So Jack Crowley comes on and everything changes. It was about 55-minute mark. You can see Sam is disappointed himself when he comes off. Hard day at the office. He'll be back. But Jack Crowley comes on, and you can immediately, it's kind of like when you're in the woods and the wind is blowing really hard, and then all of a sudden everything stops and it goes quiet, and then the wind picks up again. It was like this moment of transition when Jack Crowley comes on. You could just see that the team looked a lot more settled, a lot more confident, a bit relieved maybe. They just seemed to wake up, all of them. The people coming off the bench and the people already on the pitch, they just changed the gear, so it was great. So yeah, he comes on. Then we've got people like Balakoon. He scores a brilliant try. It's probably my favorite try of the tournament so far. Definitely Ireland's best try so far. Really good setup. Stuart McCluskey also played a blinder. He did this really cool NFL pass to Robert Balakoon up the wing, and he just Robert crashes through these defenders and gets over the line. And it was a real kind of, you could say it was a cathartic moment for him, because if you know his history, he's not a young player. I think he's 30, 31. And he has been through hell and back with injuries. I think he hadn't played for Ireland since 2022. So he's been on a heck of a journey. And it was just great to see him get the chocolates there, get a really, match-winning try, really. It was just so well set up. So it was a huge response from that. And he got player of the match, which is great because he played great throughout the game. He's winning those high balls. He's really athletic. It looks like he's a foot taller than everybody just from the way he runs. He's just really like he's like a Ireland Sevens player or something. He's just really lightning fast. So it's delighted for him. So yeah, we can see in the fourth quarter there's better passing, better fluidity from Ireland. Really started to look nice with the passing. Really looked like it was clicking. And even that as a takeaway, I'll take it. It's just still a huge improvement from that French game. So the scrum again goes really bad. Tadhg Furlong gets launched into the air, which I don't think anybody has ever seen before. And some people think it's a penalty to Italy, that they shouldn't have done it that way, whichever way it was done. But it just looked very, I don't know, emasculating, I suppose. Tadhg Furlong is like, this really heavy prop, one of the best props in the world at one time. He's kind of gone down in his profile a bit because of injury, but yeah, it was humbling, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. But there's just not as much kicking in the air like they did last time, and they were just playing with ball in hand, and that's what we want to see. So it was just such a better game. Then in the 70th minute, Edwin Adogbo comes on. What was really anticipating that, and even though he wasn't able to do too much in the 10 minutes he was on, you could see that the scrum settled immediately, which was great. So I'd love to see him. I mean, he probably will only be on the bench for the England game, but I'd love to see him start against England just to see what would happen. So 5 minutes to go. Italy nearly scored a try. The scrum again works out for Ireland, but Adogbo is penalised, and it's a strange moment. And Holly Davidson, who also was the first female ref to referee a Six Nations game, so huge congrats to her. And she did ref a good game, but she tells Edwin Adogbo to get his hands off of it because he's grabbing for the ball over the ruck. And he does. He pulls his hand back. But then Holly penalises him anyway. So I thought that was like, okay, what? That was the only moment I was like, come on. Doesn't really seem like it was right. Because she warned him, he took the warning and then still got the penalty. So I thought that was strange. James Lowe, half has to be mentioned because he intercepts at this pass at the end, turns around the whole game in the closing moments where it looked like there was a Italian comeback, and drives himself across the field. Now he doesn't have the gas that he used to, but he did quite well in protecting it and scooping it up. So he had a great game. Everything he did seemed to click. It really seemed like the James Lowe of old, and it seems like being skipped for the French game lit a fire under him, really like put a boot up his ass in a good way. He was really thirsty in that game. It's great to see him. He has played his way back into the squad with that performance. So, great to see him back in that kind of form. So I hope it continues. But yeah, it was really impressive. Every aspect of his game, his kicking, his defense, just looking like of old James Lowe. But at the very end of the game, we have a penalty. Jack Crowley has it. He is so close to the touchline, and then he kicks it dead. And it's like this really anticlimactic ending to the game. I mean, if you watch it again, it's even knowing the outcome, just a really good contest, but it was just this anticlimactic kind of nothing. And it was unfortunate because he had such a good quarter, a good 20 minutes on, that it was just a shame that it was kind of tarnished a little bit with that action, because it could have led to a bonus point try. Ireland only got 4 points in this game. So they're really under the pump if they want to keep the dream alive. I'd say at the moment it's looking like second place if everything goes well, because the French seem so unstoppable. But that bonus point could come a begging. You could tell from last year, it all came down to bonus points. So that was a real unfortunate error to happen at a clutch period of the game. It did seem like Ireland were on the front foot, that they had still loads of gas left, and it was going to be right at the line, the try line, that line out. So it was unfortunate. Too bad for Jack. So yeah, that was the game kind of broken down, if I could, in segments. I had to make a mention of the Ulster class. There were 5 players from Ulster in this game. Every one of them did a great job, but especially players like Cormac Ozudike, Robert Baloucoune, and Stuart McCloskey. I think Stuart McCloskey easily could have gotten player of the match, easily, because he was everywhere. And he had 2 try assists, and he was just always there when you need him to be. And he just has this energy about him. I think he's nailed on for that 12 jersey. Don't get me wrong, Bundy Aki, again, he's been a huge servant, but I think he's under pressure to keep that jersey when he comes back. He's not going to be available for the English game, but he will be afterwards for the Welsh and Scottish games. I saw footage of him training with the team, so he's back, on location. But I don't know. I just think Stuart McCloskey, his time has arrived. I think he's playing the best rugby of his career right now. And he's got leadership qualities as well. He's a really cool, he gave a great interview to BBC Northern Ireland after the game, which was really relaxed and had a bit of charisma about him. It's not like he's, copiously media trained and, drumming out the same spiel and bingo list of expressions and a lot of rugby interviews after a game. He just seems a lot more natural. He's got that kind of people charisma going on. I think it's great. And I think he is. At least for the Ulster players, they'll say, he's a great leader to them as well. So easily could have been a player of the match. So well done to Stuart McCloskey. I want to see him still in that, for the England game. I think he's really important to have in that 12 jersey. But everybody, Nick Timoney came off the bench. He played great. Tom O'Toole was playing loose head. He switched from tight head, which is no easy feat. I think he was great off the bench. I thought he was a great addition to the scrum. Robert Baloucoune, obviously, player of the match. Cormac Ozudike as well, another player I was really excited to see. And he looked really comfortable out there. And he looked great in the back row. Even though he's primarily a lock, he can also play a number 6 in the back row. And I think they should keep that same back row, the exact same. Cormac Ozudike, Jack Conan, Caelan Doris. That's a really nice back row that they're playing around with there. Thought he just looked great, and he was, he had some really good lines he was running. So really, the Ulster lads played a blinder, and it just seems like they've got a different energy to the other provinces. I know Connacht weren't even able to play, but Munster and Leinster players, they're so used to this by now. They're so used to the pressure and the scrutiny the team are under. I'd say they're exhausted, and a lot of them are Lions veterans as well, still dealing with that hangover. But the Ulster players just have this injection of real youth about them, real energy, real positive playing, really kind of up for it. So, yeah, let's get more Ulster players up there. Jude Postlewaite, give him a turn. I think it's just so good for this team to change it up like it's being changed up at the moment. Other players that were playing, I thought Ronan Kelleher was great off the bench. In fact, I think he should start against England. Dan Sheehan has been off form lately. Still one of the best hookers in the world. Yes, he's just going through a downward kind of part of his curve. And I think Ronan would just be, I think if it would kind of, again, motivate, just like James Lowe, even just dropping someone to the bench can motivate a player. So I think him coming off the bench is scary, because, he's going to be fuming that he wasn't picked for the first 15 and trying to make another really good impression. So I think he'd be great off the bench instead this time against England. James Ryan had a great game. He's one of those players that is so in the thick of it, so buried in the rucks, that he can be very invisible for these games, but he's quietly really good. And I think he played a really good game. That disaster of a red card in the autumn is really kind of way now. He seems to just really have eclipsed it, which is great. Great to see him bouncing back. Jamie Osborne had a great game, great try, really looked good out there. Jack Conan, I like this number 8 that he's playing now as Jack Conan and putting Caelan in at 7. I think Jack Conan, to be honest, would be a better captain for Ireland when you look at the difference of presence. Caelan Doris, superb player, but I just think he just looks that bit more older and kind of more mature. I think he'd be better dealing with the referees. I think he'd be better rounding the guys up. Even if you watch that game, he's shouting at everybody. He is, he's like the school teacher a bit, at the back of the scrum. He's just got that kind of, that presence. And I think, it's kind of hard now. Caelan is kind of, an anointed the captain. It's very rare you can change back. But I think it would be great to see what he could do if, Caelan isn't playing one of the games and you put Jack on as captain. I think he'd be great. I think he's been captain before, it seems like. So yeah, I was just thinking that. James Lowe, again, great game. We had Dogbo. Jameson Gibson Park came on off the bench again. Another player who got sidelined. Great game. I think he's going to start against England with Jack Crowley, who also had, for the majority, a great game. So that brings me to, the fly halves. So it seems like the word on the street is that Sam will not be playing this game. Who knows, he could be. Andy Farrell's still a huge fan of his, but I think a tactical withdrawal would be necessary for Sam at the moment, just for the time being. I don't think he should be in the England game. And really, to be fair, I think he should be really withdrawn for the rest of the tournament and just get some oxygen and breathe. I think he has been pushed into this at a young age, really fast-tracked, and it's obviously created a stir, but I think we need to do damage control because we don't want it screwing him up and getting him off form. If he's got to take a break, take a break. I think if he was just withdrawn now and was on the sidelines for the rest of Six Nations, I think he'd be a lot better for the summer internationals. I think he'd just be a bit more, reformed. He'd have time to look at his game, improve things, do what he can, and just take a breath. Because it just seemed like he was a bit suffocated out there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But Jack Crowley, it's fair to say he did bring some great things when he came on, and I think if he plays good against England, hang on to him. Remember, this is the guy that won the Six Nations in 2024, right off the back of Johnny Sexton getting out of there and leaving this void, and he just, took to it like a duck to water. And Harry Byrne still hasn't been there. Where is Harry? We've got to get Harry Byrne in the equation, on the bench or something for the England game. He deserves a shot. He's been playing good rugby all season, and he's training with the guys every day. He's being patient. Everyone else has gotten a chance. Give Harry a chance. So those were the players. Those are the fly halves. Oh yeah, and I just had a point here about Vodafone. I thought it was kind of funny because Vodafone do these ads in between, let's say at halftime or something like that. And there are so many people injured and so many people out for whatever reason, disciplinary, whatever, that the players I saw on the Vodafone ad, none of them were playing that night. There's players like Mac Hansen, he's out. Bunde Aki, he's out. Josh Van der Fleer wasn't picked that time. It just shows you still this crisis that we've been suffering. But it's led to good things. Guys are getting time. We're getting the blood players. So, but that ad is dated now. Even you can tell really the seasons, the year from what hairstyle Mac Hansen has. It changes with the season, and he's got long blonde hair and that, which he doesn't have anymore at the moment. So I thought, it was funny. But there were other games too. I wasn't able to go into detail, but congratulations to Scotland. Of course, if there's going to be a shock. It's going to be a predictable one, like Scotland beating England in Murrayfield. It was a terrific game, and it actually was a better game than the Irish game. To be fair, it was a lot more fast paced, a lot more exciting. It was 31 points to 20 against England, and Scotland were just all over them. So it's really opened the tournament, for people, because everyone thought England was going to do a grand slam this time. I still think they're heavy contenders to win it, but it was quite humbling. It was just like that game that Scotland played. That's their best game of the tournament. Maybe not, but Finn Russell just looked great. He was just directing the team so well, and they just looked like a totally different team. They bounced back so well after that Italian loss. You felt like Gregor Townsend, the Scottish coach, his head was on a slab after that. So that has really bought him some time, at least. It's no easy thing beating England these days. Remember, they beat the All Blacks back in the autumn, so they can beat a lot of good top tier teams. So yeah, congrats to Scotland. Wales and France. Unfortunately, Wales got a bit of a drubbing against France in the Principality Stadium, 12 points to 54. It was strange because for the first half an hour of the game, I was just watching the updates on my phone. I wasn't watching it like live on TV, but just the pings on the bulletins. And it was something like 7 points to 19 to France for the first half an hour. And I was like, okay, that's actually a pretty decent scoreline considering the teams involved here. If they could hang on to half time, because they get another try and they're back in that game. So I was really rooting for them. But unfortunately, right before the half, France scored a try, and then it's a total rollover in the second half. So France are continuing that form, 54 points to Wales' 12. Hard times for Wales at the moment. I think there was something on the news about not enough tickets being sold. Now, it's a big stadium. It's still like majority full, but there are thousands of tickets unsold, basically, which is a bad sign. It's the sign that the people are getting fed up and frustrated with where this team is going, and just these blowouts just aren't good for anybody. We need a strong Wales back, so I do hope they bounce back. So this weekend coming, team is going to drop tomorrow for Ireland. Ireland is, of course, playing England in Twickenham, the Allianz Stadium, but everyone knows it as Twickenham. That's going to be on Saturday at 2:10 p.m. I'm not sure about these early games. I really feel that would be a great game for under the lights, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock kind of game. It'd be perfect. So I don't know. Don't like these early games. There's no injuries from Ireland. That's one positive take from this. So there is no injuries. Not for the moment. I think I saw Robert Balakunin a few straps on his leg when he was training on a video released recently from training at the High Performance Center, but that could be anything. Guys do that all the time. So hopefully everybody is okay. Again, I hope they keep the back line exact same. I think maybe put Tom O'Toole on Lucet to start off and Rowan Kelleher to start off for hooker. Probably Tadhg Furlong. Could he be ready to start off at tight heads? Hopefully. I like the idea of starting Edwin Adogbo and I don't know, would it be Tadhg Beirne, Joel McCarthy? Yeah, tough one to think who's going to be on the bench for the locks. Because if you think of Tadhg Beirne coming off the bench, it's a scary thought. I just think you can't lose either way with Tadhg Beirne if he's starting or if he's on the bench. He's just that kind of player. But I think the backs should stay as is. I think Robert Balakoon, if he's fit, keep him as right winger. James Lowe has proven himself, keep him at left winger. The fullback, I think, is 6'2". It's got to be done again. England have put out a 6'2" team. So it's going to be heavy. It's going to be collision. It's going to be a collision fest. So it's really going to be a muscly kind of game, as it always is with England. It's always a great game, Ireland against England. It's this whole history, the whole emotion charged with it. And Twickenham is a terrific place to play. Always a bunch of Irish supporters there, pulling for the side. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to the squad being dropped as well. But the word is that Jack Crowley will be starting. That's just through the grapevine. So we'll see who he picks. It's at 11 a.m. tomorrow, which is early, which is great. You don't have to wait till 2 p.m. at lunchtime. So it's nice. Wales are playing Scotland in the Principality again, another home game in Cardiff. That's at 4:40 on Saturday. You think Scotland would have that, especially with the game they just played against England. And then France are playing Italy on Sunday at 3:10 p.m. And God, wouldn't it be great if Italy beat France? I mean, that would just make everything pretty square. If everybody lost the game, it could kind of let us relax a bit. Don't see France. It's being played in France. France are going to be up for that. But Italy, they should be really encouraged with that game against Ireland again. They are not going anywhere. They're on the rise. They're a terrific team. Really good to watch. They play really good, fast, exciting rugby, and they never gave up against Ireland. Another day they win that game. So it's coming. You know, the Italian takeover. You know, they will be rising the ranks. They'll be going from 9 to 8 to 7 to who knows. I'm really excited to see what the Italians do. So, and that was out Capuzzo, and I think Drex is his name, another really good Italian player. So they might be back in time. They're two really strong players. Hopefully they're back in time for this game on Sunday. So yes, that was the rugby. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you catch the games this weekend. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. How do you think Ireland got on? What is going on with Sam and Jack and Harry? Who's going where? What's the story with the fly half situation? How are our Ulster boys looking? Will we put more on there? What do you think? Thanks, and enjoy your rugby. Bye.